Welcome to Oregon Voters Digest, the program that brings forward the social and political issues that are important to people living here in the Pacific Northwest. And now, your host, Bruce Broussard.
Welcome again to this segment of the Oregon Voters Digest. I'm Bruce Broussard, your host. And by George, I've got my other co-host with me. He's been a long-time friend, and besides that, a long-time co-host on my endeavor from not necessarily day one, but he's been here for a long time, quite some time. I'm talking about Bob Williams, and as you notice, Bob here is also a veteran. He's a veteran, and you've noticed I got a brochure here on the easel back here. It talks about reaching out to veterans, and basically that's kind of a focus of where we are, and that's going to probably be one of our main focus for the few months or so that we're here. In fact, I started out when I started putting my gear on as a veteran, reaching out to veterans. They're also voting members of the state, of this country, and this, that, and the other, and so they're part of the community,
right? Major
part of the community. And since we are in the county, Multnomah County has the largest service entity for veterans in the state of Oregon, and so there's quite a bit there. And they provide numerous services, and so I will be working very closely with the county. As you know, that in the past I've run for office just to make sure that we get it on the platform. And but the fact of the matter is that there's still work to be done, and so I just want to make sure that the viewing audience understand that it's not just about basically just taking folk from veterans. No, they're citizens. They're part of the residency of this community, and we need to recognize that. But like I said, I'm focusing on one of the things I'm focusing on, making sure that those veterans get their benefits, and that's something that I'm doing as a part of my basically outreaching, if you will, for my own self, for that matter. And so anyway, I want to let you know that. And Bob, as you know, he's been around for quite some time, and he also happens to be a veteran. So anyway, we're right in line with the whole deal. But besides that, he's got a background when he basically got out of the Air Force and came here and basically and after school and whatever, came at the university, played basketball and all. But after he got out, he got into the mainstream and happened to have gotten into the political arena as a lobbyist, so to speak, from the union standpoint.
Right.
And he spent quite a bit of time there, retired there for that matter. And so that's a major skill, because that's basically normally the majority of the populace labor force when you start thinking about the union. On the private side, that's the corporations and things of that nature. But it's a very important piece, and he's got a background. He's been very, very active in the Democratic Party. I know that for a fact. And so he's been around. Besides just Democratic Party, he's basically a one-stopper, because that's where the military comes in. Represent everybody. They wasn't just representing just one entity when I went overseas, or vice versa. So with that, what we're going to do today is that kind of like expand what I just shared with you on the opening aspect of it, because I want to spend a little time on. I did. I spent a little time on that a couple of shows back. In two shows for that matter. One was just kind of educating the public about what is Oregon Voters Digest, and what it is, and who am I, and why I'm here, sitting here, and why we're doing with Voters Digest and the like. And that you might want to Google that show, about 2 shows down. And I spoke just basically alone because I was the Voters Digest. I did that piece, and then after that I interviewed the new president of the NAACP, James Posey, who, by the way, happens to be a veteran. He was a veteran also whatever. But again, he's now president of the NAACP, which is an important entity for the community. And he's organizing that organization. And I still would encourage any and all of you to consider joining the organization. See, the key is that let's not talk about criticism on a personality standpoint. Focus on the seat. Whoever sits in that seat and he happens to be James Posey. But as long as he focuses on the issues of the NAACP for community, that's where we're talking about aspect of it. And so consequently, that's one of the reasons why I have him on here at least maybe once a month or something like that, to try to give everybody an update on what's going on in the community from the NAACP standpoint. And Bob and I, we know him. We've been knowing him for years. But the bottom line is that I want to encourage you folks out there, use the organization and get involved with the organization and get away from the personality aspect of it. Sometimes we all have histories, by the way.
That's right.
We all have histories. See what I'm saying? And it's not about your history I'm interested in. I'm interested in what you can contribute to the community today. Right. And I know Bob has been basically that's what we've been doing for years.
Working daily.
So with that, that's kind of like what we're going to do today. And I've got a couple of things here, just real quick, and then we'll just get right in. As you know, we got a special election that's around. I'm sure everyone got their voters pamphlet for that issue. That's a very interesting piece, Multnomah County and voters pamphlet, and that was one piece that we can talk about. The other piece that we can talk about is that, as you know, Vega Peterson, who's the new chair for Multnomah County, she had her first speaking to the community, if you will, at Franklin High School. Oh, which was remember that they put a lot of money in that in terms of remodeling and this and the other. Well, rather than having it at the City Club downtown, she pulled it out and went to the school district, and made an emphasis on that. And I noticed that the superintendent was there speaking there, and Reagan was there, Bobby Reagan. She's been there a long time, member of. She's a school board member, I think 2 or 3 times. But the bottom line, she's also very active in the City Club. And so they were able to put this piece together and had this at Franklin High School. And I thought that was very, very interesting, Bob, because, our kids are our futures. Are sitting here in this Portland metropolitan area, and she did that. And I commend her for doing that aspect of it. I really do, and we can talk a little bit more about that piece aspect of it. But naturally, if I had any kind of criticism, it won't be in criticism because I didn't reach out to her to share that with her. I didn't see the American flag and the state flag in the background when she was being interviewed or when she was being introduced. But maybe next time around, I plan to approach her and see whether or not we can. In fact, you can be there with me. We'll see if we can get the flag, both the state flag, the American flag, there. And veterans doing, because they got a veteran organization. We can get some of the veterans, if you will, to actually participate, in basically bringing the flag and posting the flag and things of that nature. Okay? So with that, it's open. You want to say a couple of things before we get into discussion?
Well, Bruce, it's always a pleasure to sit here with you and discuss the issues of today. For me, it's been, for the past couple of weeks, it's been a churning situation where where I live, people have different opinions, and I've put on my listening hat. And for a couple of weeks, I've been listening to people talk, and everyone seems to be so negative about politics, about education, about jobs, about working, about immigration. I mean, it's not a positive. It's nothing positive in those things. It seems to be that we've reached this, I call it Esquire attitude, where the headline gets you because it's negative and it catches your eye. And I think, it's time for someone to start talking about the positive of being an American, of being an Oregonian, living in Portland, living in Clackamas, living in Beaverton. What's the positive aspect of those things? You can dwell on the negative.
Oh, yeah.
And it takes you down. I mean, I have a friend who told me, he said, man, the best thing that ever happened to me is they told me I didn't have to come to work. And I said, what? He said, no, man, I can do it from home. I said, oh, okay. I said, so how's it going? He said, well, once the kids are out, everything's good. And I go, oh, okay. Then I started thinking, well, summer's coming. You know, what you're going to do then? Because they're going to be home.
That's right,
you know,
that's right.
and so, but how do you get those people back on the job?
Yeah.
Because I know for a fact I got friends that work for the city, for the county, for medical, and all of these. They're at home doing the work, and I know what they're doing because sometimes we're on the phone talking for long periods of time. Well, that's they're getting paid for that time, you know, and I'm not snitching on them.
Yes, you are.
Yes, I am. Yeah, I guess
They
I
need to go to work.
Yes, sir. So
Part of the economy, right? When they go to work.
But the thing is, we're putting people in a position to where they don't put forth the effort to make it excellent. They just okay, it's good. You know, and excellence is not a part of it. And then our politicians, we're electing people that want to argue, fuss, and fight rather than do things for us. You know, I had a gentleman say to me yesterday, he says to me, man, it's a shame what they're doing to Trump. And it was two ladies sitting over there, and they heard him. They were afraid to say anything. Because one, a 6'5", 230-pound black man, and a 6'3", 245-pound white guy, you know, are having a discussion, and they are not going to get in it, you know. And so I said to one of the ladies, "What do you think?" She said, "Huh? Oh." She wouldn't say what she thought, you know. And it's a shame that we're afraid to have a conversation, you know. In my lifetime, I don't know any politician that's been convicted of a sex crime that's been elected, ran, got support to run. But here we are. You know, I mean, the things that have changed in today's society is scary.
Well, you know, on that point you made, just remember Trump like that. That's a focus piece. But that's why I'm making the point. It's about the issue.
Right.
The fact of the matter is, it's not him personally.
No.
It's what he represents aspect of it. And I think that's the deviation that we've gotten. We've gotten sort of out of track on that deal because now that you get out of track, then that's when people go back to memories. Everybody got memories.
Oh yeah.
Everybody got a history of memories that would not like to share aspect of it, because it takes you off track of which is the most important issue. I mean, we are supposed to be the world leader. We're the melting pot for the entire world, for that matter.
Yeah.
Or just 300 million people aspect of it, and you got China sitting right there about 3 billion. You know, you got all over the. So the point is that that's a fact. You know, and we're sitting in a very responsible role, and a lot of times the leaders that actually get elected within our arena, i.e. the USA, people are kind of like dependent and using them as a role model,
right.
so to speak. But we were doing that as long as we were focusing. We were great. As long as they were focusing on the issues.
That's it.
Please, issues.
Not individual attacks.
That's right. Because it's like, if you want to do that, then you got to say, okay, fine. If you're going to file to run for office, you got to bring all your history resume to the table and go through a committee and go through that first. Well, if that's what we want to do, is that one? No, they don't want to do that, because there's nobody that's got a clean deal. You know what I'm saying?
What they say, let him that has no sin cast the first stone.
You understand what I'm saying? See, so I'm just emphasizing that point, because in all due respect, to a certain degree, I had to transition out of that deal. You're in the same boat.
Oh yes.
You know, because you know, we basically, in fact, it's a fact. I was a registered Republican for quite some time. You were a registered Democrat, but we knew one another personally.
Right.
But the bottom line, we knew issues, and we focused on issues. We communicated, and we had opinions on issues, whether they pros or cons. But the fact of the matter is, we had those discussions, and I think that's the reason why we're still sitting here today, because we've always been known to focus on. But it's so easy. It's so easy to get into personal situation, and when you get into that, there's sort of a demand from the viewing audience that I can't talk about Trump and you can't talk about Biden. Or vice versa. So now I'm saying, you know, we're saying, hey, look, we got to get off that track. I mean, that's where we are. We've been doing it just because
over 20
because
years.
we've had that experience. But we never knew and this thing is worldwide now for everything.
Right.
Man. Everybody's hit personality thing.
And it's instant.
Oh, big time. so it's very, very important, and I'm glad that Bob is. That's one of the reasons why Bob is here, because we have been talking about issues. But a lot of times we unbeknown, a lot of the folks didn't have our background.
Right.
See, we're very comfortable in any faction. We can deal with that piece, and when the pensions come up, a lot of times people tend to want to bring up issues, but they don't have the background, but they want to react to it anyway.
Right.
Got me?
Yeah, I can remember when I can't remember if it was you that had me go to this Republican function out at the Red Line back some 10, 15 years ago.
We did that. We did that. Oh, gee.
God, it was a minister.
Yeah, he was an African American minister.
Right.
He did a piece.
He asked us to show.
We show up,
and they found out I was a Democrat.
Yeah, right.
But one of the things that, after they got through there, him and Han, when I walked out, it was respect.
Because we were talking about issues.
Right.
We weren't talking about,
don't care if you're black, white, green, yellow, or blue.
It was about the issue.
It's about the issue.
It's about the issue, and it's very, very important. And like you said, and hopefully the media will take care of it, get involved. All the media folks and all of the talk show hosts and this, that, and the other. And we have our own so-called grouping here in the city of Portland aspect of it. We got Channel 2, Channel 6, Channel 12, and those folks are getting paid. You got me? And they do have access. Unfortunately, here with Open Signal, we don't have the money. You're not getting paid.
No, I'm
not getting paid. Aspect of it, and we're not put on the schedule in the local newspaper, the largest one, which is the Oregonian, and I liked the Tribune when they were just basically giving out the issues for free.
Right.
That was a good piece because the bottom line is that people had access. But now all of a sudden they had because of the monies and whatever, folks are going through technology way. They're going this way now. Everybody's got their own media now aspect of it, which can be somewhat unfortunate because now you've got so many issues that are laid out to you that when you
one
Google,
side,
just one side, and everybody's on the one side.
Yeah.
See, we got to get back to look. They are very interesting, but the bottom line is that we got to figure out what are the issues that are impacting us as a group.
Right.
We got the individuality aspect of it, and then we got the group. And the group is the thing that is very important to us because that's the only way we can maintain our stability. Keep people working, keep people being motivated to do things and whatever, not highlighting the billionaires and not relating to just the average person just going to work and making a living and this, that, and the other. But nowadays, if you're not a billionaire, you're nothing.
Right.
And all the focus is there.
And then you go, they want to know why people are not voting.
Yep.
So the question becomes collecting after electing.
Yeah.
What is the reason for you to vote? Because it doesn't seem as if the politicians that you elect care about your issues really. They want to make an issue for you to care about. And so once that starts, why am I wasting my time standing in a line for 2 hours or taking time out to study an issue on a voter's pamphlet and mark it and then take it to the post office and all of that? People, we have to begin to think about each other again. All of it. It's not like I pull myself up by my own bootstraps or it's all about me. It's not. You take your school board. I know we're going to get into that. What do you know? I remember when the school board was a place where you ran for that position because you had ambition to go someplace else. Something wasn't going right in the school district that you were in, so you wanted to be a voice. And so you ran for the school board. If you didn't win, you still got your issue out there. Not today. Man, it's so political, it's ridiculous.
Well, you see, there was one missing point with the whole issue of the school district. It was an unpaid position.
That's true.
It didn't give access to the families, the mothers and fathers who were not rich, who didn't have the monies, if you will, to be able to run. And they had ideas, but they couldn't put them on the table. You know, when they start talking about kids that are unruly and this, that, and the other, they focused on the poor kids.
Right.
But their mom had the solution. Now, if we had a mom that would be, you know, they were stricter, if you will. But the bottom line is that they also had access.
Right.
And it was a small element within the school district that was that way, let's say, encourageable. But the bottom line is that it just kept building up because the moms or the people that were familiar with that situation from Solution wasn't given the opportunity to be on the school board. And a lot of times the school board, and in fact I'm not knocking it to a certain degree, but Franklin High School, look at the money we went through that whole deal about identifying school districts to build, to refurbish the school and this, that, and the other. And right up front, and I'm not just speaking for him, but my point, when I look at Jefferson High School, where they're talking about the shootings and this, that, and the other, when you look at Jefferson High School, if anything needs to be in rehab, it's that school.
Yeah.
Now, whether or not it's on the table, I don't know. But I know that Franklin and the one downtown is
Lincoln has been refurbished.
Right.
Franklin has been refurbished, and McDaniel.
Yes, but not Jefferson.
And Benson is in the process.
Right.
Now, and so the Roosevelt has been. So that only leaves Jefferson.
Yes, and we talk, and again talking about the issue of race. We've had a racial issue aspect of it throughout this country.
Right.
We've had one here in the Portland metropolitan area as far as the school district is concerned. Very heavy aspect of it. But my point is that we're trying to transition, and maybe one of the things would be give a nice bright spot. And get this Jefferson High School thing squared away, because in all due respect, the majority of blacks don't go there anymore.
Right.
That's a fact.
Yeah.
You got me? So, but it is a symbol. When one start talking about race, it's always Jefferson High School,
right.
The blacks. And then when there's some shootings, it's not just shootings at Jefferson, it's shooting at all these other schools too. But those are not highlighted by media. So, but it's a race thing. You got my point?
My son, my youngest son, he was on the committee at his high school in Clackamas, and they were shocked that he was as articulate and able to discuss the subject like he was. And I told him, I said, hey man, like I told you, study the issue and stick to the issue.
Stay focused. You're there to get an education.
Yeah. Right. And there were some changes that was made. They didn't last after he left, but there were changes that were made
as a result
while he was there. And so it's just one of those things where you can be. My favorite saying is that a pig in a dress is still a pig.
Yeah.
And so, they'll tell you that this pig in a dress is good for you, and you can't eat pork. Then you're still getting something you can't digest, and that's what happens in education. They come to us and they say, well, we need to clean it up. We need to make sure the kids go to school. Well, it's a learning behavior to go to school, and it doesn't start at high school. You got to start at the grade school level. Where are these kids going for grade school? I mean, in Clackamas, we have a number of new grade schools. I know there are new grade schools in Portland. One's on Powell, about 72nd or 68, somewhere around there in Powell. But I don't know of many others. But we have to begin to look at things at the beginning, and not so we don't have to go through all of this financial and time in the middle and at the end. At the end, these kids are grown, and their perception of things is set. And now they got to get a little older, like we did, and get away from that. So that how do we get the school boards? If you're going to be on the school board, then what is your job on the school board? It's not to run the school.
Well, again, that's a major problem. And then again, talk to solutions that today what the needs are. Those people need to be paid straight up. I think it would be a little bit more of accessible to some of the issues that are being faced here within the Portland Public School District, meaning that folks who could not afford to run Got me? Because you gotta have a job. You gotta eat.
Right.
Got my point? And most of those people that are sitting on the school board are eating. They're either retired teachers who got monies coming in,
Right.
so they can get paid. But what about the younger folks that are in there who are mothers and whatever? They don't have access. They got to work, and you can't work. You can't work. In all due respect, you can't be struggling and trying to get on the school board aspect of it, and to know what the issues are. The issues are not the people in the upper class aspect of it, because they got the monies to be able to respond. It's the people down below that's having to deal, and those people and those kids need to be inclusive. When you go to a Portland public school, they don't try to separate. A lot of times people go to private school if they got money. They send their kids to private school.
Right.
This is public school, and it should be the best education that a person can get. Right. And a lot of times these young kids who don't have the wherewithal with their situation with their home, because they don't have the monies and whatever.
Right.
So we got to make sure we accommodate that. And I'm throwing that out to say that currently, right now, let's think about some of the things. That's why I said Peterson, she needs to be given some kudos from the standpoint of holding her first speech, addressing the county at a school. Within the Portland Public Schools.
Right,
she went to Franklin High School.
And she's not running.
No. She is the chair.
Yeah, but she's not going to run for her position.
No. She's the chair. She's just basically going through the budget, her normal kind of a deal. But she talked about the budget. She talked about the entire county, the responsibility. It was a very, in fact, you can Google City Club, got it on there. You can just Google it, and it just comes right on. It was a beautiful. I thought it was really neat. And the other thing that she like I said, she talked about the school, and then like I said, she had the Portland superintendent, Portland Public School, Portland. See, in Portland, Multnomah County covers a whole bunch of areas, but she focused on Portland and had Guerrera, the superintendent of Portland Public Schools, to make a presentation, and he talked about how that the district now is going to be inclusive, to basically put some funds aside to address some of the issues in the Portland Public Schools. Now that's a new day. That's a whole new day aspect of it.
Well, one of the things they did to these kids, and I think and put a strain on parents, is no busing.
Yeah.
You think about it. When was the last time you saw a yellow school bus go through the neighborhood? And why? Because years ago they voted to use that money in other areas. And so the money they get from the state, the money they get from the city and all for schools, it's less than what they would have to pay for the school, for busing, that goes into the other coffers. And so who gets the burden of getting these kids to school?
When you were on TriMet board.
That's one.
Yeah, that's the TriMet board. You kind of picked up some. You guys picked up some. We
picked it up
because you was on the board, right?
Right.
And you guys picked up there and you gave them school passes, right?
We gave them bus passes at a reduced cost,
right. Especially to get the little kids, kids down.
And we also gave them those passes so that they could have jobs after school. Okay. So they could use them to go, go to work.
Okay. So my point, you guys reacted.
We reacted.
I'm talking
in that
about.
manner.
So I'm saying, I'm going back to what she said. It's kind of like.
But what is the school board doing, and what is the state doing to improve the well-being of these students? Free lunches. Remember when we were in school and you got free lunches?
Yeah.
You got help.
Yeah.
Everybody doesn't need help, but some people do.
Yeah.
And we need to be there to help them.
Yeah. Well, Peterson basically, the way she was talking in her presentation, she's reacting. She is reacting to the issues. And like I said, I got excited about the fact that it wasn't a presentation at the City Club downtown, where we're just talking to the business community. Got me? It's now in the community, and she picked an area that, as far as I'm concerned, again, like I say, it's Portland Public School. It wasn't Clackamas. It wasn't, it wasn't over here. It wasn't there. It was Portland, and that was good. And then she also, the other thing she addressed, that was interesting when you look at it. There was probably about 400 people sitting up in the audience. It was quite a bit of folks there. And then you had the Zoom piece aspect of it. I was busy, so I checked the Zoom piece out. And but the bottom line is that when she introduced all of the people, she made sure that she introduced the other commissioners. And she also introduced the mayor. of the city of Portland, Ted Wheeler. It's kind of interesting. They did not have. There was no applause for him, but that's a sign, and hopefully the mayor will understand what that's all about. And then the other thing she did, I thought was very interesting, when she started talking about how the city should be working with the county and this, that, and that. She said, yes, I definitely. However, I mean, this is my plan. Blah blah blah.
Right.
They work with the city, and she talked about Central City Concern. That's a major entity that's been around for a number of times.
Yeah.
And she basically said, look, I want to invest my money over there. We need to invest the kind of money over there because it's already there. And we've gone so far.
Don't have to reinvent the wheel.
Reinvent the wheel and take it out downtown Portland. So realistically, it's going to be a benefit for the people downtown because hey, guess what? Look, you know.
Have you been downtown lately?
Gee, well, I mean, it's ridiculous, you know. And all due respect, you know, I spent a lot of time down there when I was running for office aspect of it because it was perfect. It was because the bottom line down in the city, that's not where it needs to be. No. I mean, how are you going to take people with no monies and put them in an area where you got to have money just to survive, just to walk in that area?
Right.
It's not. That's part of our economic aspect of it. But in Central City Concern, they're on top of the issue aspect of it. Old Town kind of a deal, and some of the business communities and whatever, they've sort of adjusted to it, so to speak. They're working with it. So let's take it to that next level, which would be somewhere else, you know my point? But not downtown Portland.
Right.
Because I was a little concerned about when Deborah was there, before, when she was chair, they went on and refurbished. Remember, they refurbished a new building. They bought a building for $5 million and put that place up there. Now they're trashing it. And they shouldn't be downtown. They had a good building called Wapato. If they had kept that Wapato piece and let that be mental illness and then the overflow for anything to do with the jail from the sheriff department, but they didn't do that. So now they got a situation over there in Wapato. We won't get into that one.
Yeah, hindsight's 20/20.
We'll just say we're going on. But guess what? There's another positive thing that's happening right now. I'm thinking about Peterson. Then Phil Knight came up, threw out about $400 million and said, I want to do something for Northeast Portland. I want it right in the core area. Well, as we all know, you've been in real estate too for a while, and we made efforts to try to get folks to buy homes, this, that, and the other. But guess what? All that property is gone. Now, the only thing you can do is eminent domain. You can do eminent domain, but my point is that Phil has said he wants to put monies back in the community. So in the name of the game, he put together a committee, and I appreciate the way he said it because he's saying, well, now, okay, it's for the community, but I want to make sure I see some results. Now, that's the problem. What is that committee going to look like, right?
And I remember when, God, what's the name of the organization downtown that was loaning money for businesses in the inner northeast area?
The PDC?
PDC.
Yeah,
and they took the money that was sent to them for this area and did the waterfront.
Yep.
And then the government suspended them for a number of months where they couldn't get money. And they had certain black politicians write off on it. And so, you know, I mean, when you talk about large sums of money and it's supposed to be in a bucket for a certain thing, then someone has to be the watchdog.
Exactly. It's supposed to be a committee. Do you know anything about the committees?
No.
Have you ever heard any of the committees? I've not heard any committee. I mean, we're inviting them now.
Yeah.
Come on over here because I don't want that. If Phil's going to put the money up, he doesn't also have to do the administration, all that other stuff.
No.
He's giving up the criteria. That's a good thing, but I'm concerned too about what is going to happen to that money aspect of it, because you know we were all, you and I were talking about that deal, getting folks out of a renting situation to home ownership.
Right.
At one point in time, you could have bought all of that profit for a little or nothing. The city could have bought all that deal.
Not today.
But they can't do it today, but unfortunately, the sources that were doing some of those things, kind of a deal, they were thrown under the carpet aspect of it, and they just basically start spending on their own. And I hope. And I'm saying that to say that that's kind of like where we are with the homeless problem. We're just throwing monies in this big pot in the city of Portland. And when I heard about the mayor's budget, when he announced his budget aspect of it, and I looked at all of that money for cleanup. What happened to the city of roses when it was beautiful? What happened to the ordinance that was passed that said if you were caught throwing anything on the streets or whatever,
Right.
guess what?
That was a fine.
It was a fine.
Sure.
You don't have that anymore. So that bothers me.
Well-
and hopefully the mayor understands where I'm coming from. You don't need to spend that kind of money. We got garbage haulers. You know what I mean? They pick that stuff up, whatever. And we got what's that other outfit that this gentleman put together? The one that picks all the trash around the state.
Oh yeah, man.
But anyway, I know. Don't worry about it. But
We're getting older.
Yeah. No, getting younger, older.
Yeah.
So, see, we're participating now.
Yes,
see?
yeah.
So it's very important. But so my point is that, I'm not attacking him on the personal side. I'm attacking the issues that he's sitting in that seat, and that's an issue. There's too much money. There's too much money being spent on picking up garbage, and then there's too darn much money doing that.
I remember we had a show a few years back,
Okay.
where we talked about the homeless and the issues,
Yeah, we did.
and some of the easy things you can do, like waste management, putting garbage bins in certain areas.
Yeah.
And now the people that are there, it's their duty to clean up the area and where they are.
That's right.
You know,
You don't have that program.
but
anymore.
it's kind of like what we used to say when we were younger about buying drinks for people. you end up having a party and you got all the alcohol and the soda pop or whatever, and when you finish up, when the party is over and you go finish up, there's glasses half full all over the place.
Yeah.
Why? Because they had no investment in that. But if they bought that, it was used. And that's the same thing with people on the street. They don't have any investment in where they are. That's why it looks the way it do.
But that's an issue.
Yeah.
That's an issue. And hopefully, she was saying that. That's what I was hearing her say. I was really excited about the way she presented herself, because initially I was kind of like, well, I'm very interested in finding out what's going on, because there were some areas there that at the county before Deborah. Well, it wasn't just Deborah, but it was the culture. It was the culture of the politics of the county, meaning that the chair ran everything. The commissioners did nothing, and in all due respect, it's ridiculous. We got some. They release. There's some response. There's supposed to be some responsible people. They're getting paid quite well.
Yeah.
$100,000 per commissioner's seat and $200,000 for a chair.
That's
okay,
more,
you understand what I'm saying? You got me? And the first person I thought about that piece, I said I should have given that. What's her name? The young lady that was Secretary of State.
That just quit.
Yeah, just quit because she
just resigned. I didn't start. She resigned.
She said she wasn't making enough money.
Right.
Hey, fact. She's statewide. She's making $70,000 a year, and that was not enough money to live. And she basically got in this other deal. Well, I would have said to her, "Look, why don't you move your residency and run for county?"
Yeah, run for county commissioner.
You're gonna have to do the $100,000. In fact, I noticed some politicians now are running for those seats.
Yeah.
You understand what I'm saying?
Why run for a state? Why run for a state office when you can run for a community? Stay at home, run for a community office, and make 3 times the money.
Yeah. But now that's a concern I have now too, from the standpoint of saying, what kind of resumes they have?
Yeah.
See, because otherwise they'll either get attacked on a personal standpoint, and then we're not dealing with the issue. Fair?
Well, the thing that we need to do is we the people need to get involved.
Well, that's what we're talking about. That's what we're talking about right now.
We the people need to get involved like we used to get involved.
Well, that's why we're doing what we're going to do.
I mean, now we elect someone and we walk away.
Yeah.
We elect someone and we send them a letter.
Yeah.
We elect someone and we send them an email.
Yeah.
We used to knock on the door.
Yeah. Well, I didn't like the idea of how they did the Fagan deal to a certain degree, because they should have known about that when she filed to run for office.
Well, you got to remember, this is called, politics is not the politics of old.
Yeah.
It's, I'll kill you for the position politics today.
Okay.
I'll defame you.
So the person, you're right.
I'll defame you.
Yeah.
I'll do whatever it takes, because once we get somebody else in there, They might be of your party,
Yeah.
but we have a better chance of getting them because they're new.
Yep. Yep.
You know, I mean, we have to get away from that, because then the question should be for us, the people, what are you doing to help us?
Yeah. It's a tough situation now.
Yeah.
Because in the past, the so-called voting public always looked at themselves as if they were employees.
Mm-hmm.
But it's just the opposite.
Yeah.
The elected politicians are the employees of the public, the public. The employers are the voting public.
Right.
Okay. Yeah, so, but unfortunately, that's one thing we better get down.
Yeah.
We've got about 20 minutes we want to deal.
Okay.
Let's get back to the schools to a certain degree, because the other thing that I was thinking about the school in terms of public safety aspect of it, because you know we've done some shows on those, man.
Mm-hmm.
Remember we were talking about public safety at Portland Public Schools and all the schools,
Right.
And when the custodian issue came up.
And
They were public safety. They were public safety folks.
Right.
I mean, they were the first people that get to the schools are the custodians.
And
I've not heard a word about the custodians. If you notice, in all the shooting, the schools and this, that, and the other, I've seen one. And if anybody knows the kids that goes to that school, is the custodian.
Right.
Got me? And the other thing that was happening very positive back in those days, and you know him, I know him, when Lockett, remember Lockett?
Mm-hmm.
Lockett was the chief. He was a school chief,
right,
of the police, security.
Mm-hmm.
And they had police cars. I mean, they had cars and whatever, and the kids respected them.
Right.
That's Harvey's brother,
Mm-hmm.
Harvey Lockett brother. But Lockett did a good job, and they would work with the custodians. You got my point?
Right.
So they had a good safety net about their whole deal. They knew those kids, they knew their parents, and all that kind of thing. It was a beautiful setup. And now the issue comes up with, what are we going to do about the shootings at the schools and this, that, and the other? We need the cops and all that. Well, you don't need Portland police over there. You can use something that was already there.
But they took the money.
Yeah.
You see,
Took the money.
It's all about finance.
Yeah.
And so it's not, I mean, when things happen out in Clackamas County or Beaverton, how often is it on the news?
Hey.
And things happen at those schools out there.
Yes, it does.
But it's, you know, if it's on the news, it's a flyby. And what I mean by that is, you hear it today and it's gone tomorrow. But you let something happen in the city of Portland at one of these schools, and it's a 2-week deal. They have to talk about the issue. They have to talk to the parents. They have to talk to the neighbor. They have to talk to the shopkeeper. You know, it's an issue in Portland, and but countrywide, because I just got back from Florida and Chicago, and countrywide, Portland. They said, "Man, you still live in Portland?" I said, "Yeah." I said, "Man, it's hard living there, isn't it?" I said, "Man, you might as well be in Dodge City." You know, that's what's going on around the country as far as we're concerned, and we need to do something to change it.
Yeah. I'm agreeing big time. So I'm just saying, again, talking about that public safety aspect of it, it was kind of interesting that we were talking about this with this special election.
Oh yeah, Derek Peterson.
And a gentleman by the name of Derek Peterson, who at one time had ran for sheriff. And the guy's got 30 some odd years in public safety. Got me, and the jailer, because he worked for the county, got me during that particular time, and he's got a resume as a monster, and he did run against another person for that seat. Got me. That's where Mike Reese was. Mike was a heck of a guy. We were lucky to have gotten him during that particular time.
Right.
But my point is that that's a voting seat, right? Got me. So consequently, he ran for that seat, and naturally, they picked the young lady. She's there, and then he opted to start running for the school district. Well, to a certain degree, that's his platform, public safety.
Right.
See, he's got public safety. He know if anybody knows about homelessness and mental illness and all that other drugs and this, that, and the other.
Your police
that's his resume.
And your sheriff.
That's his resume.
Yeah.
But then all of a sudden, and then the other lady that ran, her name was Patty Sullivan. I read her resume within the voters pamphlet aspect of it, and she's a mom. I mean, she's responsible. She had kids and whatever. They went to public school and aspect of it. But the bottom line, she doesn't have the issue. I'm looking for an issue. Now she can represent it's like anything else.
Community.
The community from a kid's standpoint,
Right.
but that's a whole different ballgame. We're facing with the whole issue of public safety,
Right.
big time, mental illness, drugs, and all the other good stuff. And this guy's got their resume. And then I noticed that here it says, and both of them, which is kind of interesting, prior government experiences, none. No. He worked for the county. That's government. she didn't have one. It's a prior government experience, none. But he has a heck of a government experience as president. That's his retirement.
People need to understand that government experience don't mean that you're elected.
That's right. That's right. No.
You know.
You getting those government checks, aren't you? Not. See what I'm saying? So anyway, but I thought that was a very interesting piece. And then a lot of times, and Bob and you, we can talk about this piece. A lot of times, folks get caught up, get wanting to run for office, but they're not politicians.
Right.
They're not politicians. He is not a politician. She's not a politician also too, but he's not a politician. And then so consequently, one can get in trouble. And I'll tell this to anybody, run for office today. You know, you got to watch yourself. If you've got a platform that talks specifically to a solution of an issue that you're running, stay there.
Right. Stay in your lane.
Stay in your lane. Stay in your lane. Don't get caught up in these other conversations, because people are going to confront you for days.
Oh.
I mean, I can still remember when I started putting this piece together with Voters Digest. I was taking on callers and this, that, and the other, and all of a sudden they basically got their own program.
Right.
You know, and I said, no, can't do that. See what I'm saying? We're basically talking about issues, just like we're doing now. You may think we're having a general conversation, but in all due respect, folks, and all the viewing audience, I'm addressing you. It's not necessarily just, quote, just doing personal things. No, we're talking about issues.
Right.
We're giving you kind of an overview of how to deal with and staying in one's lane and focusing in whatever. And all the comments that we were making here on this particular show, from the majority, talking to Bob and myself, is that we're saying we're going to go back to the old days where we were basically, and that's what we've been doing, focusing. But we want to bring the voting public to the table. Got my point? And so that's a very. But this guy here, it's unfortunate that he said he resigned. And it was about a religion situation. Well, religion has two courses, two major lanes. One on this side, one on this side.
That's right.
One pro and con. And then there was other issue that I noticed in the so-called part of his resignation he got into was the whole issue with abortion. And then that's another two-sided issue.
A man trying to make a decision on abortion.
No, that's suicide. And that's total suicide. It's a women's issue aspect of it. So the idea that, and they got two
support. We don't make the decision there.
No.
It's like being at home and the wife tells you what she wants done. You do it.
You get it. That's right.
You don't make. If you want an argument.
That's right.
You want somebody to crucify you.
Yes.
Try to make the decision. and there's certain things we say it's a woman's issue. We know it's a public issue.
Yes.
But we know that women's going to take the lead.
Yes.
Because
that's their
they're
lane.
Talking about them.
Their lane.
Right.
See, and you made so people can make those, and it's unfortunate that there's a possibility he might still get elected. He might still get elected
because he's on the ballot.
And as far as I'm concerned, that he is the guy that's most qualified. And I'm not saying that Patty, she's got kids, she'll be there. But bottom line is that they need this guy here on, because this guy he knows Lockett. For instance, he could put that whole public safety piece together. No one on the board has his background.
And that's one of the things I found out about being on a number of boards.
Yeah.
Is that, it's a reason some people get there, and it's not because they know anything about the board.
Yeah.
It's because they have other ambitions.
Right.
And when I was on the TriMet board, they were shocked that I knew as much about public transportation as I did, but I'm from Chicago.
Yeah.
And most of the people don't have cars. No, if everybody in Chicago had a car, the Dan Ryan and the Eisenhower Expressway would be 3 times as congested as it is today.
I heard that.
You couldn't go any place.
Yeah, I heard that.
So you have to, and public transportation
is major.
Yeah. And so you learn about it.
Yes.
And so when I got on the board, I was able to, to speak about certain things.
That's right.
But it's just like if I ran for the school board,
Oh, you
I'm
better.
going to study the issues.
You
What
got
are
to.
the issues of the board
You gotta-
that I'm about to get
And
on?
you better look in your resume to find out you got some involvement.
Just because I'm a college graduate don't mean that I know a lot
That's
about
right.
education
That's right. That's
and
right.
how to run and what they need.
That's right. That's right. That's right. It's a very important piece.
Yeah.
So, like I said, I still wish that that he would he get elected. As far as I'm concerned, I've not had the opportunity to meet Miss Sullivan, but I'm impressed with the fact that she was a school teacher. Mm-hmm. She had kids, so she knew something about that piece. But right now, the issue is public safety, drugs, a whole bunch of stuff.
Right.
And it relates, in all due respect, to the county. And I'm thinking about Peterson, basically the same thing. She's staying in her lane. And I also see her being able to work with him because because Portland Police is a whole different ballgame than the sheriff. See what I'm saying? So the sheriff department is a beautiful situation with the school district per se. Got me? Because it's a two different deal. The Portland Police has a major lane. They got a major lane, but the sheriff department has a lane, but it's not as volatile as the Portland Police.
Right.
And so it would be a natural deal to be able to work very closely with the school district and the issues. And so that's another kudo I want to give Peterson. For
But
bringing
one of
that
the
issue up.
things that happens with these different entities is that I don't want you in my lane.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to call them because then they're
Yeah.
going to try and take over.
Yeah.
I'm not, and we have to learn to work together.
Yeah.
That's the thing. That's the one thing in politics is it's not a one man show.
Yeah.
And unless you can get a consensus of support
Yeah.
on your issue.
Yeah.
That's the same thing on the school board, on the TriMet
That's right,
board,
that's right,
on
that's
any,
right, that's right.
you have to get a consensus.
Well, I'm glad you brought that piece up because we got to give something to the city to help them out a little bit on one particular subject. And I know you got good background, and we chatted a little bit about that piece. Is the whole idea of the union basically being the spokesperson for Portland Police the way it is? It's Bob. It just don't. We talked about that. In all due respect, the guy who's really in charge and running the police force is a union guy.
Yeah.
He's a union president, and he happens to be a cop, from a standpoint,
Right.
but he doesn't wear a uniform. I mean, one, they could help out if he should wear that Portland Police uniform, because he is a cop also too. Wear the uniform. That'll get it back into the public, because the chief of police is sitting at the mayor's office. He has he does have no control of the troops at all. The spokesperson should be the chief of police. And don't get me wrong, and I'm not saying take the union out. No, they are a union organization, but don't put them and making them as if he's the spokesperson.
He makes the
decisions.
decisions
Yes.
as to what the officers are going to do. They're hired hands.
That's right. And I think that's one of the major flaws. Hey, heck of a bright young man, but he is not the chief of police.
Right. Or the mayor.
See, all the mayor. I mean, as if to say, they talk from the standpoint as if they're just an independent entity.
Yeah. You can't tell me to do that.
That's right.
I'm sorry.
And I've been trying to get him to come on the show so we could talk, or even have a cup of coffee. But naturally, there's no return call for because I'm not attacking him personally. I'm talking about for that seat. The issue. So if the word can get back, if someone's looking at the show today, please, we want to get together with the union rep, the guy who's basically the union rep for Portland Police, and talk to him about the issue and the concern. Bob that's his background. He was a lobbyist.
All we want to do is ask questions.
Just ask questions, because we
want to get a better understanding of what his job is.
What is rationale?
What's the mayor's job is regarding the police? What is the chief of police's job?
And the commissioners.
And what is the commissioner's job? And what is his job?
That's right.
Of all the people, decisions should be made at least by 3 people above him.
That's right.
The chief of police, the mayor, and the commissioners.
That's right.
But
they
those 3 should be running. That runs it. And then his job is supposed to be, I thought, The union's job
yeah.
is to protect its workers.
Yeah. And I guess the reason why Bob and I are so pretty, we agree with that big time, because we come from a source that's the way that's structured.
Yeah.
We're paramilitary.
Right.
And if we didn't have that structure, we would not have a military.
Right.
I mean, you couldn't sit around here and be a trooper down below, a sergeant.
Be a sergeant, tell a lieutenant what to do.
No, or the general.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Or the president, for
Yeah.
that matter. I mean, it's it's an issue, and I realize that these guys are very concerned about the fact it's always coming back from the standpoint these folks don't know what they're talking about. No. We were talking about public safety. That's your job. Public safety. I am the employer. In fact, at the end of the day, the citizen, the voting public, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
The resident is the employer.
Number one.
Number one. The mayor basically works for
The public.
the public. The chief of police works for
The public.
the union rep, works for the
Well, he worked for his for the workers.
workers,
Yeah.
who basically respond to the public.
Right.
So everybody, see what I'm saying? So
It all comes downhill from us.
Exactly.
And if we don't understand
we're paying.
and the thing is that we don't understand.
That's right. That's right.
And if we don't understand, we don't have
That's
a
right,
question.
That's right. And maybe there's a rationale there or an explanation there that I don't understand, you don't understand, but we'd like for him to share it
Right.
with the public,
Hey,
with the employers, right?
Right. I saw a contract once that said it was by another union, and in it said that if a person shows up for work every day, he will receive a bonus.
Come on.
Why did I hire this guy?
Oh my God. Oh my God.
And they got mad at me. I was a union rep, talking
yeah.
to another union
Yeah,
rep
right.
about their contract.
Yeah,
and They
right.
got angry at me, and I realized you're right. If management's not going to fix it, why am I complaining about it?
Exactly. Wow. Well, anyway, that's basically what we're going to have to do. Well, anyway, hey, look, we've been having a good conversation, but we were really talking the issues, but we're kind of like giving you this first source, because from now on we're going to be dealing with issues,
Okay.
and really tapping on those folks who are supposed to be representing those particular issues, right? You got me, Bob?
I'm going to give up some of my golf time to be here.
I heard that.
You know, because I've realized that retirement doesn't mean that you quit.
That's right.
You know,
and with that union retirement you got, you know all.
I'm so poor I can't pay attention.
That's right, and you know those folks. And you know we're gonna call on the unions. We're gonna go through the union to find out those are your brothers and sisters over
Yes.
there at the Portland Police. Those are brothers and sisters.
Yes.
So why are they so not wanting to deal with you?
And why, I'm at a loss as to how management just constantly gives. Now that I'm retired, they constantly gives in.
Yeah, good. Well, on that particular note, okay, we've said a lot. Shared with your neighbors, and think about what we've been saying. Look at the show again, and please join us next week, okay? But check out the other shows that we've done in the history. You can Google them on YouTube, Oregon Voters Digest. Hey, have a good evening and have a good day. It's going to be pretty warm here very shortly, about in the 90s, and probably snow the following week.
That's it.
But anyway, take care. God bless. We'll see you next time around. Okay? Good. Take care.